Oops, Doria's dirty secret drives Meghan Markle mad, ex-prisoner banned. Last week, a royal expert revealed that Meghan's mother Doria was actually never a licensed social worker. Mr. Phil Dompierre has explained that you are not allowed to be a licensed social worker if you've got a felony conviction in most of the states in the U.S. And if you have a drug conviction on your record, which has been alluded to when it comes to Ms. Raglan, well, of course, there wouldn't be a snowball's chance in hell of being a licensed social worker. Now, in the past, I have thought that maybe she got a degree in sociology, and she actually could have gotten that while she was in prison, but being licensed to practice as a social worker is a completely different thing. Sunshine Sachs, of course, had the internet scrubbed of Meghan's sordid past and her deviancy, and we can only assume they did the same thing for Doria. Tom Bower is also busy writing a book about Doria. Should be very interesting to read. It is just awful, though, how Doria portrayed her fraudulent self and Meghan Markle to the royal family. There was that $43 million wedding bestowed on a yacht girl who treats most people like absolute garbage. Supposedly, Doria had a conviction for felony tax evasion and fraud, and she tried to blame Meghan's father Thomas for it, but he was able to exonerate himself. Now, this was concerning a travel agency that she owned and at one point in time she ran, and supposedly she had to serve jail time for that conviction, during which Thomas was responsible for raising Meghan. You are not allowed to hold a social worker's license after committing a felony in the state of California. Why are they trying to hide this, though? I can only assume the intention was to make her look like such a caring woman, when basically she is just as calculating and sketchy as Meghan Markle, her gold digger of a daughter. When Meghan's past was sanitized, I guess her mother's was too. Any criminal or distasteful history was completely covered up, and it would have been so racist too to tell the truth about the only members of Meghan's family that she wants anybody to know about. Doria Raglan was also never an air hostess, just trying to copy Catherine's mother, who actually was an airline steward. Meghan is always trying to big herself or her mother up to socially accepted causes because she wants more status and she wants to be admired. And I believe California has very strict laws about social workers' felony records. You know, we can leave it to Tom Bower, though. He is going to expose her for what she really is, and he's going to confirm where she was for the missing 10 years of Meghan's life. And in those 10 years, Thomas was the only parent responsible for taking care of her. And I don't know what happened, but boy, did she turn out to be such a liar and a grifter. I knew that she couldn't obtain or hold a license as a convicted felon, but I really didn't know about all the other past offenses. Meghan certainly did show poor judgment in choosing which parents to parade at her wedding. I know Meghan's father has his problems, but at the end of the day, I think he's probably a pretty good guy, and he was a talented lighting director. He won multiple Emmys. He also spent his whole life pampering Meghan and making sure that she never had to suffer embarrassment or lack of opportunities because of her mother. In fact, I would say Thomas deserves a medal instead of being cut off and treated so horribly. Reportedly, even the late Queen once said that Meghan Markle was trash and that she couldn't believe that Harry dared to bring her into the royal family. She knew what was going on. And just look at Meghan's mother, another piece of trash. Never around while Meghan was growing up, but she sure came out from wherever she was when Meghan looked like she was going to have some fame and money. Of course, she could not have stopped them marrying, but at least the late Queen could have said no to that £30 million wedding. Call me old-fashioned, but I think a divorced woman, somebody who has 2 ex-husbands still living, should never have been allowed to marry in the church. I would have shunted them off to the nearest registry office if I were the late Queen. Many people, including myself, believe that Meghan has something that she can hold over the royal family. That is the only thing that makes sense, and that basically forced Her late Majesty to accept Meghan. Probably some kind of nasty made-up rumor, or even trying to out the royal family as being racist. I mean, who knows, but I think it has to be something. I was figuring that Her late Majesty either voluntarily requested or she had to have some records hidden, assuming that that would even be possible. And I'm guessing I'm not alone in wondering about that possibility. If it were Sunshine Sachs who actually was responsible, then I believe that information has to be made public. If true, I think they should also somehow be held accountable for withholding important information that would have affected decisions about Meghan and Harry being offered positions of public trust. They should also be held responsible for putting all senior royal family members in the risky position of being considered at fault, if Sunshine Sachs' involvement should turn out to be true, that is. I can only assume that a lot more is in the process of being written by Tom Bower. And another thing, if anybody has any possibly nefarious intentions, then I am certain that Mr. Bowers has multiple copies of any research that he has done, and he has saved it with any number of other people. So I don't believe anybody would be able to stop any information from getting out. There are a few other possibilities that I've thought of regarding the important question of who and why this information was covered up if what is claimed has been claimed by Tom Bower, and I'm sure that he wouldn't make these claims if they were not true. He's a lawyer, he knows what he's doing. There's a recent video that has resurfaced of Meghan talking to students at Kyiv National University in Ukraine in 2014. If you don't know, 2014 was the year that armed conflict started. Meghan spoke openly during that video about her high-level political ambitions, and the students were obviously interested in those ambitions. Considering that situation, I find it very difficult to believe that a political party did not arrange for that visit. I suspect the subject of politics was more important to students heading into war than hearing about a lifestyle blog or talking about acting skills for TV. So, could people who were interested in advancing a future political career for Meghan have already been trying to clean up any information out there that was available online? By legal methods maybe, or maybe some illegal methods. I mean, are there even legal methods out there? I'm not sure. Even a parent's records would be under consideration, I would think, especially if those might encourage some generalized racist comments if the records had to do with a Black American woman. So I think it could still be possible that this information was gone from the internet by the time Harry and Meghan got together. So MI6 and the royal family may not have actually known as much about Meghan's background as we have assumed they knew. Either way, I think that whoever hid that and why this information was hidden needs to come out. In hindsight, she did not have enough credits to graduate, so her uncle on her father's side got her an internship at an embassy one summer in Argentina. She took the civil service exam, but she failed, so she didn't score highly enough to get a government job, and she ended up leaving about midway through after she didn't pass the civil service exam. They gave her a personal staff of 17 experienced advisors and counselors. Now, the two mistakes that the team made were this. First, they assumed that Meghan wanted to learn something. Well, of course, Meghan Markle doesn't need to learn anything, she already knows everything. The second big mistake was that they assumed that she wanted to be happy, that she understood what happiness even was. Well, of course, we know she doesn't. So happiness doesn't really bring in a lot of money. Misery and justice, though, oh yeah, they do a much better job of it. So when she couldn't find any, she just made up some lies for sympathy. She didn't care about the pain that she was causing other people. Meghan had no idea what she was in for. She didn't want to meet dignitaries from other countries, and she didn't want to have to open stores or attend events. She wanted to mingle with A-listers. She wanted to be the star of the show, the center of attention as always. She didn't want to curtsy to anybody, let's remember. Meghan Markle did not want to work. Back then, she had a bad attitude, and it looks like she still has a bad attitude. She is not willing to conform to different rules and customs. Now, common sense should have encouraged her to make a good effort to fit in, but it seems like Meghan's motto is always my way or the highway. Well, it looks like she and Harry officially took the highway, and they took it all the way to Montecito, California. And you, what do you think about them? Please tell me your opinion below in the comments. Don't be afraid to like and share my video with anybody else who also needs it anytime you want. And don't be afraid to click the subscribe button to get more updates in the future. Thank you so much for tuning in, have a lovely weekend, and we'll be back to see you all tomorrow.